Welcome into the Florida Line, the Sunshine State's only full sports betting podcast, talking about the lines, odds, props, and futures of the teams that you want to bet on or against in the state of Florida. Let's dig into these NFL win totals: Dolphins, Bucks, Jags. I'm going to go team by team here over the next couple of episodes. We'll do the Dolphins today, and I'll roll out the Jags and the Bucks over the next couple of episodes. Here's the fun thing is that I'm recording this on May 13th. That's Wednesday, and the NFL schedules get released on Thursday night. But keep in mind that while the schedule release adds some much needed context, it doesn't actually change anything. Win total over-unders are largely based on a couple of factors. One, how good your team is supposed to be. Two, how difficult the opponents you face are. And three, what the market does with the number after it gets posted. And maybe it's that third one that can change after a schedule release, but not the other two. If you start the season with the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Seahawks in consecutive weeks, I don't think many people are going to be sprinting to the window to bet your over. So those things perhaps can shift the market, and you definitely see a bigger wave of action after the schedules are released, but it doesn't actually change anything. The Dolphins are up against it for a couple of pretty obvious reasons. Most importantly, they're not good. They have a rookie head coach, Jeff Hafley. They got rid of their most expensive and experienced players, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua being the most notable of all of them. While those should be net positives for the long term, and if we're being honest with ourselves, there is at least a possibility that is a net positive for the short term as well. It's likely going to be ugly out of the gate. There's just a lot of new, there's a lot of inexperience going on with the Dolphins, and frankly, they're just not committed to winning immediately. There's a new GM, John Eric Sullivan, there's a new head coach, there's a new quarterback, and they've got all this draft capital. This is a team that wants to be better in 2027, in 2028, in 2029. The Dolphins are projected to be a 4.5 win team. Only the Cardinals have a win projection as low as the Dolphins, and they might start Carson Beck at quarterback. So the fact that these two teams are similar in any way in the odds market tells you everything that you need to know. They are breaking in a new quarterback of their own, Malik Willis, who started just 6 games in his career. So just 6 starts under the belt of Malik Willis. That is a very limited body of work. So I'm not sure how much stats matter when you look at what he's put together, because it's limited, and because he received a dumbed down version of the playbook at both stops in Green Bay and where he started in Tennessee. I do think the Dolphins are going to at least give him a chance to let it rip. Ideally, they have found their franchise guy in Malik Willis, who relative to quarterback pay in 2026 is pretty cheap. He signed a similar deal to what Justin Fields signed with the New York Jets last year, and the Jets were looking to do the same thing. Hey, maybe we have found something, a diamond in the rough, a guy who had been discarded, who was a previous first-round pick. Maybe we found that in Justin Fields. It turns out they didn't, and they wound up getting a top pick because of it. It happened to be in a year where quarterbacks were not plentiful in the draft, but they have still had a chance to load their roster because they've had a really strong draft pick, because they took a shot on a quarterback. It was a low risk, high reward type of play. And the Dolphins are doing the exact same thing with Malik Willis. And if it works, then great. Having the top pick in 2027 is going to be even more advantageous than having a top pick in 2026. This is supposed to be, and I'll air quote supposed to be, because last year was supposed to be pretty good too. This year is supposed to be the year in terms of top talent at quarterback. Arch Manning coming out, Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State at wide receiver, one of the most highly touted prospects at that position in years, at least since Marvin Harrison Jr., and we see how that worked out, but you get the point. 2027 is supposed to be a loaded NFL draft class. So if the Dolphins are bad and Malik Willis stinks, who cares? They get a top pick. And if he's good, then they are sitting on gold, where they already have a franchise quarterback, and they could potentially be looking at a top pick in a loaded class. And either you just take the best guy that isn't a quarterback, or you can trade and get whatever you want for that selection. So we know what the two sides of the equation are for the Dolphins and what they're looking for. The Dolphins division doesn't help here. The Bills aren't going anywhere. They added DJ Moore. They're going to continue to try and push this thing to a Super Bowl with Josh Allen as their quarterback, as they should. So that should be the best team in the division, as they've been the most consistent over the years. The Patriots were the team that actually won the AFC East last year. They likely aren't going anywhere, but that is also TBD because of the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini situation. And I would expect the Patriots just naturally to take a step back after being the biggest overperforming team in the 2025 season, but they're still going to be good. And the Jets have quietly started improving that roster. So I think they could be a surprise team, not necessarily to push to the playoffs. I haven't gotten quite that far yet on the New York Jets, but I think they could be one of those. They're going to be a spread covering team, kind of like the way that I viewed the Carolina Panthers, who did wind up pushing to the playoffs last year. But as a team that you went into the year knowing they're going to be underdogs left and right, but they're going to be scrappy dogs that you can kind of bet on throughout the season, I think the Jets might be that team. The Dolphins finishing in the cellar of the AFC East is not only not far-fetched, it's highly likely. And get this, the Dolphins have the second toughest schedule in the NFL this year in terms of opponent win percentage. What? 54%. Only the Chicago Bears have a tougher go at it this year, which is crazy to think. And it's because of this murderer's row that they have at quarterbacks on their schedule. And again, as I'm recording this, I don't know in what order they face these guys, but I know they're facing them. Jordan Love, Josh Allen, Drake May, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. All of those guys are on the Dolphins schedule this year. Hard Rock Bet has the win total at 4.5 minus 120. And honestly, if I were to bet that right now, which I'm not, I would bet the under on the Miami Dolphins win total. So if you're expecting big things from the Dolphins this year, I'd start looking for other forms of happiness to offset the inevitable depression that you're going to face. Maybe start flying a kite, maybe learn how to go fishing, go to the movies. I think they sell month-long passes where you can see unlimited films now. Go check out a different way to spark some joy. That's all I've got for you today. If you enjoy the content, do what every other podcast host tells you to do. I will be back with the Jaguars and the Bucks in the coming days. Thanks for listening.